If you've been on the job hunt for a while, you know the feeling, right? You spend hours, literally hours, crafting what you think is the perfect application. You hit send, and then just crickets. It is so demoralizing. But what if I told you the problem isn't your experience? What if it's the new gatekeepers that you can't even see? Well, in the next few minutes, we are going to pull back the curtain on these systems and give you the playbook to beat them.
Seriously, it's one of the biggest frustrations out there. You've applied for dozens, maybe even hundreds of jobs that look like a perfect fit on paper, and you just hear nothing. It really does feel like your resume is just getting sucked into a black hole, and it is so hard not to take that personally.
But here's the thing, and this is so important. In most cases, a human being is not the first one to see your application. Nope. Before it ever gets to a real person, it has to get past a digital bouncer. So you're not actually being rejected by a person, you're being filtered out by an algorithm. Yeah, that feeling of screaming into the void, it's a real thing. But understanding the system, that's the absolute first step to beating it. So let's pull back that curtain and really look at the technology that's standing between you and your next interview.
Okay, meet the main culprit, the Applicant Tracking System, or ATS for short. Companies use this software to handle the absolute tidal wave of applications they get. Its only job is to scan your resume for keywords, sort you against other candidates, and then rank you. It's a massive time saver for them, but it's a huge hurdle for you. And these systems are getting smarter. A lot of them now use AI to spit out something called a fit score, and this is literally a grade, like an A, B, C, or even no fit, that rates how well your resume matches the job description. If you get a low score, your application might never even see the light of day.
And this isn't some sci-fi concept. Here's a real-world example. Companies like Phenom build these exact tools. They help recruiters sift through all the noise. And look, the goal is to be objective, to focus only on job-related skills. But the catch is, if your resume doesn't speak the machine's language, your amazing skills might as well be invisible. So it's really time to reframe how we think about this. Your very first interview isn't with a person. It's with a piece of software. And just like any interview, you have to prepare for it. And that's exactly what we're going to get into now, your strategy for beating these bots. The rules for getting past the ATS are actually pretty simple, but it's amazing how many people miss them. Okay, first, always use a reverse chronological format. It's what recruiters and bots expect. Second, you've got to ditch the fancy graphics, the tables, the columns, all of it. Simple is always better. Third, use standard headings like education and professional experience. This is not the place to get creative with titles. And finally, pay really close attention to the file type they ask for. If it says Word doc, give them a Word doc. Simple as that. Now, if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this number. This is just staggering. If you include the exact job title from the posting somewhere in your resume, you are over 10 times more likely to get an interview. It's that simple. The bot isn't trying to figure out what you mean. It's just looking for a direct match. So give it one. And that brings us to keywords. I want you to think of the ATS as a search engine. It's scanning for the exact terms from the job description. So if the post says project management, you don't write, I led a bunch of projects. You write project management. You mirror their language. And yeah, tools like ChatGPT can be awesome for spotting these keywords, but you have to do the final check. You have to personalize it and make sure every single skill you list is something you can actually back up. And that's the perfect pivot. As career coach Shelley Allman says, while we have to play the game and optimize for the bots, we can't lose ourselves in the process. You have to own your story. Because remember, after the bot comes a human. And this is where you have the upper hand. Once you get past that initial filter, the game completely changes. Now it's all about showing off the qualities that an algorithm just can't measure. Just think about it for a second. Can an algorithm really understand team chemistry? Can it detect empathy in your cover letter? Can it listen to your story about a gap in your employment and see the bigger picture? No way. These are uniquely human things. A real person can see your potential and understand how you'll add to the culture, not just fit into some pre-made box. This quote from Forbes just nails it. The resume gets you past the machine, okay? But your personality, your adaptability, your whole story, that's what gets you the job. They're making a bet on your future, not just checking boxes on your past. So look, the machine and the human aren't enemies. They just have different jobs. The machine gives companies efficiency at the beginning of the process. But the human? The human provides the nuance, the context, and the emotional intelligence that's absolutely essential to making a great hire. Your strategy has to win over both of them.
All right, let's put this all together. Here is your new, comprehensive game plan for this crazy modern job search. It's designed to get you past the bots and have you totally ready to wow the humans.
Okay, here's the playbook, point by point. First, you optimize for the bots. Simple formatting, exact keywords. We got that. But second, and just as important, you write for the humans. Don't just list what you did. Show your impact. I love the WHO method for this. What did you do? How did you do it? And what was the outcome? That tells a story. And finally, get feedback from people you trust and make sure your online brand, like your LinkedIn, tells that same authentic story. And please, please remember this, especially on those days when the job search feels like a slog. A resume that's perfectly optimized but sounds generic isn't going to connect with a real person. But one that actually reflects who you are, your voice, your unique journey, that's what a hiring manager remembers. That's powerful. At the end of the day, these automated systems, they're just the first gate. They're a filter, not the final decision. The real challenge and the real opportunity starts when you get to connect with another person. So the question is, once you're through that gate, are you ready to show them the incredible value that only a human, that only you can bring?